Hey there, welcome to another DashFight video, and today we're going to be talking about Street Fighter 6. So, in case you've been living under a rock, Street Fighter 6 is the biggest talking point in the FGC right now. First announced back in February, we've been hit with trailer after trailer, and character reveal after character reveal, and everything has been amazing. Street Fighter 6 is definitely going to be historic, and I hope of the good kind. In this video, we'll be talking about the characters we'd like to see in Season 1 of the DLC. We know there are some characters missing from the 18-man roster released recently. We know this because, the leaks. For this list, we won't be talking about any Street Fighter V characters, nor will we say anything about the characters that we know are coming. So that means while we certainly want the likes of Akuma, Rashid, Ed, and so on, they won't feature in this video. Instead, we'll take a look at Street Fighter's rich history and examine some individuals that we hope get some love in Capcom's most ambitious fighting game yet. I'm Arya from That Blasted Salami, and these are 7 characters we want to see in Street Fighter 6 Season 1 DLC. Sodom is a character saddled with a name that could be misconstrued. Actually, Sodom gets his name from a popular German thrash metal band that was around at the same time. Sodom is a member of the Mad Gear gang, and he initially appeared in Final Fight, Capcom's side-scrolling beat-em-up, as an antagonist. He joined the Street Fighter roster in Street Fighter Alpha 2. Sodom's story is intriguing, and his quest to build up an idealistic Mad Gear gang is weirdly inspiring. He has ideals that he wants to stick by, and this makes him a nice character to have around. Is this enough to get him into Street Fighter 6? Probably not, so let's consider his character relationships. Sodom absolutely hates Guy's guts. This wasn't always the case though, but once he got beaten comprehensively by the Bushin Ryu warrior, he grew to hate him. Now we have Kimberly, who's a student of Guy, and the possibility of a rivalry between the two is huge. This way, Kimberly has some foothold in the story and doesn't simply feel tacked on, and Sodom will have an opponent who he maybe has a chance against. His fighting style is also a plus, with the possibility of making his katanas or jite kind of like Vega's claw or Cody's knife and pipe. An upgrade on his design wouldn't hurt either, and I can just imagine how a long-haired, modern Sodom could look like. Become DashFight supporter on Patreon. Gain ad-free browsing on our site. Click the link in the description. Ingrid is a mysterious character that showed up first in Capcom Fighting Evolution, but was initially slated to make her debut in the cancelled Capcom Fighting All-Stars. She's one of 4 code holders, along with Death, DD, and Rook. While any of these 4 characters could make a case for being in Street Fighter 6, Ingrid is probably the only one with a malleable storyline, which could be quite intriguing. As for why she'd be a good idea for Street Fighter 6, we need to look at her relationship with the game's lore. While most of the development in Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max isn't considered canon, it doesn't mean aspects of it can't be adapted. For instance, her mysterious aura, which even Rose is unable to read or predict, or her relationship to Psycho Power. On top of that, Ingrid has a fun playstyle, and her arching fireball, while not unique, could bring a lot of possibilities to her game plan. There's so much that the developers could do with Ingrid, like allowing her to switch between a light and dark mode, kind of like how Zeku is able to switch between old and young. This is based on her entry in the Capcom Fighters Network, where it states that there's a dark Ingrid who uses dark powers opposite to the light abilities her regular self uses. So imagine Ingrid with arching projectiles and an ability to switch between light and dark styles on the fly. Sounds pretty cool. Next is Doctrine Dark. I know, D.Dark and the rest of the guys from the Street Fighter EX games aren't officially Street Fighter characters, and the stories from that game aren't considered canon. But weren't those characters absolutely insane? We know that in the world of gaming, anything could happen, and having a character like Doctrine Dark could be so much fun for Street Fighter 6. Dark's backstory has shades of Nash, and since Nash died in Street Fighter V, it wouldn't hurt to have a replacement of sorts. Look, I know Nash's status is officially listed as unknown instead of deceased, but hasn't he suffered enough? I swear, Nash has the saddest story in all of Street Fighter, and he deserves some rest, so maybe he should stay dead and stay out of subsequent Street Fighter games for now. Dark is a perfect replacement and ticks all the boxes. He has a grudge against Guile, check. Is emotionally and mentally unstable? Check. Has a grounded playstyle that revolves around setups and patience? Check. Dark's grudge against Guile could be central to the conflict. Imagine an older Guile who's just coming to terms with Nash's fate and settling into normal life, and has maybe even gone home to be a family man. He's now haunted by a ghost from the past in Doctrine Dark, who's hell-bent on making Guile pay for the death of all his comrades. Honestly, I wouldn't mind any of the characters from the EX games, but personally I think Dark has the most intriguing story and would fit seamlessly with the rest of the cast. Sean is our next entry, the brother to Laura Matsuda who made her debut in Street Fighter V and a student of Ken Masters. Sean is a character with lots of potential. He was first seen in Street Fighter III New Generation, and is generally considered to be a weak character in Third Strike, and I think this is what makes him perfect for Street Fighter VI. If Street Fighter VI is a continuation of the game's lore, character progression is very important. One of the best parts of all the Street Fighter trailers is seeing old favorites like Ken, Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile age and look like characters that have moved forward. Sean could join the Street Fighter VI story as a more mature character, who's developed and become a lot stronger. Just look at Sakura in Street Fighter V and how much more mature she looks there. Sean could do with some development too. We've already seen some changes in his looks from the story mode in Street Fighter V, and having him grow even more and develop his fighting skills makes him a tantalizing prospect for the next Street Fighter installment. As for his fighting style, he's typically a Shoto, but there's potential to make him slightly different. How about they incorporate some of Laura's moves along with Sean's typical Shoto moves to make him some kind of hybrid character? They could also further tie him to the story as an accomplice to Ken, who, as we know, is on the run for an alleged crime. With Sean helping Ken on the run and acting as his master's only real contact with the world while in hiding, Sean could be a very, very useful addition to Street Fighter VI. Another interesting addition to Street Fighter VI could be Maki. She's one of the Final Fight characters that made the crossover to Street Fighter. She first appeared in Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper and was also in the fan-favorite Capcom vs SNK 2. Before all that though, she proved herself in Final Fight 2, which was her debut in the Capcom universe. There she was the hero of the day, as she ventured out with Hagar and Carlos to take down the Mad Gear Gang, who'd kidnapped her sister Reina and her father Genryusai. Maki is also a student of Bushin Ryu, like Guy, and is even the sister of his fiancée. Story-wise, Maki makes a lot of sense for Street Fighter VI. With the introduction of Kimberly, who's a student of Guy, and a potential successor to the Bushin Ryu style, a position Maki deeply covets. There's room for some rivalry here. As a fighter, Maki uses a tonfa along with other Bushin Ryu techniques, and her tomboyish nature could also further diversify the cast. Finally, since Street Fighter VI seeks to explore Metro City, I think Maki around could be really fun. There are few characters classier than this gentleman. Dudley is a character that was first introduced in Street Fighter III and came back in Street Fighter IV. Some might think of him as something of an inferior Balrog, but this is so out of order as Dudley is more than just a boxer. Dudley's love for social graces and uppity personality make him very intriguing, and with the possibility of the original villains like Bison and Sagat disappearing from Street Fighter VI, Dudley could easily fill the boxer void. Playstyle-wise, Dudley's speed and nimble movements open up several possibilities for fighting, and his close-range pressure could be a real problem for several members of the cast. Also, Dudley will look so good as an older man, and there's room for a lot of interesting design choices with him. Dudley was incredibly popular in both Street Fighter 3 and 4, and to give fans a progression to his story, along with another chance to use the fleet-footed boxer, are compelling reasons to put him in the game. Our final entry is Adon, who was initially a non-playable character in the original Street Fighter. He joined the cast in Street Fighter Alpha, and also appeared in Street Fighter 4. Adon is a former student of Sagat who now hates the ex-Muay Thai Emperor after the latter lost to Ryu. He's now on a mission to reclaim the lost glory of Muay Thai. According to Street Fighter lore, Adon has defeated Sagat, and is effectively the strongest Muay Thai user in the world now. We've also seen that he's willing to work closely with the game's villains as long as it furthers his agenda. He's a great villain, the kind that doesn't have affiliations but is purely selfish and greedy. with the possibility of some of Street Fighter's most iconic villains leaving the story, Adon would be a smart addition to the list of villains. Lore-wise, it makes sense that after his win over Sagat, he has his sights set on Ryu, and everyone else connected to him. He could be written to be on the hunt for world domination as the strongest fighter in the world. He could even be made as a new boss for the Mad Gear Gang, leading the group from the shadows. As for his moveset, I don't think I need to do much convincing. Just look at how he moves. Imagine some upgraded moves and some other fresh design choices. Adon could really become a menacing character who'd cause the protagonists a lot of grief. And that's it. Our list featured characters we feel would enrich the story and kick up the nostalgia factor. The Street Fighter 6 roster already looks like a beautiful marriage between classic characters and radical new fighters. We've seen some of the new names and they look great, but they could do well to augment the list with some of these old gems. Of course, we'd like to see some new faces as DLC too. How about you? Who would you like to see in Street Fighter 6? Please leave your reply in the comments below. Until next time, this has been Arya from TBS, wishing you an excellent day.